The last topic we need to cover is parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have slopes that are equal. If you notice, these two lines have a slope of 2. They have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposites in sign, and the reciprocals of each other. So 3 versus negative 1/3. Another defining characteristic about them, this is why they're opposite reciprocals, is if you multiply them, 3 times negative 1/3, you get negative 1. So if you take your first slope multiplied by your second slope and it's negative 1, they are in fact perpendicular. So what we need to do is solve for y on an equation if we're given it, and then examine the slopes. If either of these, if m1 equals m2, if they're the same, then they are parallel. If you multiply them and they are negative 1, multiplied they're negative 1, as a result, then they are perpendicular. Let's look at a few. Determine if these two lines, 5x plus 4y equals 9 and 4x plus 5y equals 1, see if they're perpendicular, parallel, or neither. So if we solve the first equation for y, we'd subtract 5x from both sides. So 4y, this is going to be my first equation. 4y equals negative 5x plus 9. Dividing by 4, we'll have negative 5/4 x plus 9/4. Now, the y-intercept doesn't tell us anything, but our first slope, the slope of our first equation is negative 5/4. That's what we're going to compare. Now, for our other line, we'll solve for y as well. We'll subtract 4x, negative 4x plus 1, dividing by 5. This is negative 4/5 x plus 1/5. So our second slope is negative 4/5. Now, those are not equal, so parallel is off the table. If I multiply them, I'm going to get positive 1 actually. So m1 times m2 equals 1, so that they are not perpendicular, only if it's equal to negative 1. So these two are neither. Let's look at another example. Our last example. Determine if these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Follow the same process. The first equation will be 3y equals minus 2x plus 18. Dividing by 3 everywhere, we get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 6. So that our slope is negative 2/3. My other equation, if I subtract 2x from both sides, 3y equals negative 2x plus 6, dividing by 3, that'll be negative 2/3 x plus 2, so that my second slope is negative 2/3. And since these two slopes are equal, that leads me to believe they are parallel.